Well, we heard it all. There are phases in your life when you go through some turbulence. And according to the instruction manual on how to deal with teenagers, boy, there is a phase when they want to open up, they want to experiment, they want to find out who they are and what they like, and to a certain degree they want to break free from the mold of their parents. Davide here, your impertinent collector. That never happened to me. Yes, I skipped the turbulence years of my youth, and, finger crossed, I also skipped, or I appears to have skipped, the middle life crisis, the hitmen in their 40s, when they again ask themselves, what am I doing here? I knew what I was supposed to do since I was a relatively early age. I just wanted to have an easy life. And they say no, you need some challenges, you need some difficulties, you need to go through some tough times that make you a man. Seriously, guy, that is all bollocks. And that's why 15, 16, 17, 18, never interested in alcohol, certainly not getting drunk, never interested in smoking, trying some marijuana joints, going for heavy drugs, not at all, zero interest. I have no interest in sports, partially because I wasn't talented. But to a certain degree, I felt that if a talent was there in terms of athletic prowess, have to be buried in exchange of cultivating something that maybe wasn't as much of a talent, but that could be more fulfilling in life. So imagine people who are watching sport on TV. Oh, please, and they argue, they get upset, they get excited. Okay, I must admit, I had my face during the World Cup, Soccer World Cup, that is. But that was more like a scheme to be able to be either invited at my friend's place or to organize some sort of an event where we would gather. Because in reality, all I wanted to stay in my bubble, I wanted to enjoy my few friends, I wanted to cultivate a meaningful relationship with people that I felt had more to give me in terms of experience. And for experience, I didn't mean like a quid pro quo, some sort of a transactional, give me an introduction, write me a letter. Hey, I'm Italian, I've done all that. Okay, it comes with the territory. Especially if you want it easy. You take advantage of everything that has been given to you. But, yeah, that's not really what I wanted with these people, if they were quite interesting or quite fascinating. And the reality is that we go through life meeting and engaging with very boring people. Like in my case, thanks to my family upbringing in Italy, we were exposed to a carousel of very interesting people. And success, rather in terms of career or marital results, was never considered by my parents something that would strengthen the interest to be associated with these people. In fact, my father was never interested in golf, in being part of any club, zero interest. So I took from him as well. So imagine, when those years come and you are like 17, 18, or 20, and you can start traveling. A lot of people want to take the edge of the little experience they had in their own hometown, and certainly if you are from Europe, you want to go for the cool destination. Ibiza, Marbella, Portofino, Saint-Tropez, Porto Rotondo. Really very little interest. But what I enjoyed when I was like in my late teens, very early 20s, 20, 21, 22, I had a small group of friends that have been sailing in the Mediterranean, first with their parents and then by themselves. And I sort of joined them, and we had like some fantastic time. Except that when I was 22, 23, I had the type of offer that you wouldn't refuse. That certainly somebody like me wouldn't refuse. And that offer took me to Mykonos. That's where everybody wants to be. More than Ibiza, more than Marbella, more than Saint-Tropez, you know. And it's true that my experience in Mykonos was like, for a number of reasons, quite something unexpected. First of all, because I was invited by a close friend of mine, a girl, a woman, I would say, few years older than me, that he was going through a rough patch with a marriage that few years later totally collapsed. But apart from being there with her, the invitation came to stay at her parents' villa in Mykonos. And I heard the most wonderful stories about this villa, made of old terraces, white marble, terracotta tile, pots with plants. And the father of this friend of mine, he was like a university professor of philosophy. He had a beard, he was tall, handsome, athletic, educated, charming in the sense that he had a degree of snobbery that would make everybody wanted to be with him and somehow to please him and somehow to be pleased by him. And so her mom was a very famous writer who was famous around the world. And all the friends were like incredibly interesting people. And so this big villa that had a main communal area with a big kitchen and a lounge had in front a massive terrace, and you had different terraces. The villa was just one story with a classic flat roof, all immaculately white, like you would see in Greece, in Santorini. And then he had some other, I would say bungalow, but in reality some little residences, like just one main room with an open bathroom, all white, all squarish with a rounded edge, with their own little terraces, all connected. And in front of the main terraces there was the master terrace, who had an incredible swimming pool with the best blue tiles underneath. And so I've seen the photograph, I heard some of the stories without the details. And so when she invited me to go there, I say, okay baby, this is your time to go to Mykonos. And there I went. I, of course, indulged myself in Athens, where I visited the Parthenon. My God, if I can tell you how much I love Greece. And then from there I took the ferry. I took like an evening ferry by myself, and then eventually I arrived in Mykonos early in the morning. And she has sent her uncle to pick him up with this American World War II jeep with a big white star, green, with a big white star on the bonnet, all completely open. Even if you know what car it is, even the front glass, is like flattened down on the bonnet, and you get all. And he came, and he was so nice and friendly to see him. I knew him very well. I thought of, man, in his 50s, but very jolly and nice and kind of sweet, kind of an introvert. And we went up the hills of Mykonos because the villa had the most prominent position, overlooking the sea, the other islands, and nothing else. The whole city itself was hidden away, tucked away on sea level, on the side. And as we were there, I had a little trolley, as you would have it when you go on holiday, especially if you are flying. I had jackets, I had shirts, I have nice shoes, and like it was like a very interesting setup. And I've been to the party that this power couple used to throw in my hometown, where everybody would come down. They would have a little piano concert, a little recital, and then there was wine, there was champagne, there was food, and there were all the nicest people on the intelligentsia side. And that's what attracted me, the intellectuals. And as we were going up this unsealed road, this very nice guy told me, as my niece told you, the details of how it works, that is a very free environment. I said, yes, she told me. Oh, she said, you like it, and she even told me, oh, Davide, you need to be quite open-minded. But I say, but of course, I am open-minded. Don't worry about it. Who cares about anything? And in a sense, I had assumed that, and there was a rumor already circulating, that I was the secret lover of this married girl, and that I was somehow either the savior of the marriage or the one that would have replaced the husband. Oh, please, that couldn't be further away from the truth. The husband also was like a great friend of mine, a fantastic character. Oh, I loved him, but I loved the whole family. They were intellectuals, but they were also eccentric. They had money, and yet they were smart in the way they would spend the money. They were like great collector. He was a great collector. She was like a phenomenal writer, giving speeches around the world, very, very well known, with a bestseller book. So, of course, I would get there. And so we arrived. There was this white wall on the side. There were like a couple of cars parked. And as we arrived there, the door wasn't even locked. And so, as the door opened, the master of ceremony, the host welcoming me, And he said, Davide, welcome to Mykonos. Big, tall, with a strong color now baked in the sun of Greece. And there were other people there. There was my friend, there was her mom, there were some other people that I was familiar with. But there was something that I have not been told. They were in fact all completely naked. My God! I said I'm open and liberal and flexible. And maybe somebody should have told me that. She didn't have the guts to tell me that not only they were naked, but that was the obligatory dress code for all people that were resident there. And it didn't matter if you were 19 years old or 12 years old. Even if, for a number of reasons, there were like more guys and girls towards the 1920s than towards the 85, 90. So, and it says like, here, come, this is your room, this is your space. And I had this little trolley with a wheel, and they say like, put the trolley there. Here, everything is provided. And the good thing is that the only clothes that you will need to wear is when we go down to the old town. And so, I went inside my little room and I had to, it was so embarrassing, let me tell you. It was embarrassing, but it was really hilarious that how could I put myself in such an environment, forget about my linen shirts, forget about my stripy shorts and my little sort of Gucci sandals. They were all naked. Men and women. Oh, and so I had to oblige. And whilst everybody was like very, very comfortable and they would hug me, squeezing the oily tits on my body, and then they will give you pats on the ass as you're walking around. It was like very, very surreal. In this place, that was absolutely extraordinary. And there was no way that I could subtract myself. And once you have done it for the first half an hour, a little bit like that, you say like, you know what? They're gonna look down there more if you do like this than if you do like that. So, as they said, if you have it, flunk it. So everybody was doing that. And of course, the other embarrassing things is that was my first summer outing coming from my hometown. So it was like early June. And therefore, whilst everybody has been there for May and they were displaying the most wonderful tan, I was like a pathetic white. I even have the sun cream, protection 50, like you see down here, because I felt it was necessary. I don't even think my mom told me to put that. My mom was never the type to say like, oh, put the cream on. No, forget about it. She wasn't that type of oppressive figure. She was oppressive and she still is in other ways. But she didn't have that concern. Yeah, go have a good time. And so there we were. Everybody naked. And on the first night, the host prepared an incredible lamb rack in this big oven. And it was completely, the funny things is that he was wearing some sort of a white linen tunic, but he was covered here by some sort of I don't know, large napkin if you want, but his ass was all exposed. So as I went in the kitchen to take a little bit of a breather, then he was. And initially there was like an island in front of him, so I couldn't see. I saw him dress up, and I positioned myself, on the island. And then I realized that his big hairy ass was all exposed. And then he turned around and says like, oh, for you, we are doing this beautiful lamb rack, you are gonna enjoy it. And you have to excuse me. I know that I ask everybody, is the absolute rule. Everybody here has to be naked. So I have to apologize for you if I'm wearing this tunic and this cover, because when you cook the lamb rack, you got sprinkle of hot oil, and you wouldn't want them to hit your delicate skin. That's what I was apologizing for. And that was the night. In the morning, my friend called me, let's go to the pool. You have to see the pool in the morning. You have the sun, you have the most beautiful view. I saw the pool was like a very safe place where, despite the fact that it was 100% transparent, somehow you had the psychological illusion of wearing the water. And so there I was, swimming and sitting, it was one of these infinity pools, and there was no property inside. You could see the island sloping down to the water below. It was like extraordinary. And yet, when I was there, apart from the host that I knew that was like a great character, all of a sudden I heard a couple of girls coming out from another section of the villa. 18, 19, I doubted that they were like in the 20s. And they were like absolutely gorgeous. Long hair, perfect skin, absolute perfect body. When you are gifted with the nature of the look and the age when you are at your peak. And they all came out laughing, obviously completely naked, and they jumped into the pool where I was. It's like, oh, now I have another issue here with these girls. And they were all calling. One was French, the other one was Scandinavian. Oh, really, the look. One was blonde, the other one were brunette. You would say that they were like non-identical twins. Stunning beauty, stunning body, lovely personality. It was like 8 a.m. and they were all already laughing, and it's like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden, I saw a new character taking central stage. And here he came. And his name was Balini. This French character. I want you to imagine some sort of Julio Iglesias in his middle 40s. Every chest, immaculate, nice, curly hair, good looking, very, very good looking. And he arrived, the girls were all in anticipation for him. And behind him, he had another girl. I felt like, where am I here? Is this the Playboy house plus something else going on there? Like, the intelligentsia salotto where they meet and talk about Socrates and Epicurus. Well, that was the setting. And as he approached the pool, he accelerated towards me with a very athletic pace. He was like half man, half horse, in every sense. And he jumped into the water and he went deep down. And I could see, swimming, with his flat and sort of defined belly touching the floor of the pool until he emerged on the other side. The third girl jumping, the other two girls, they were already in. And they all went to him and they said like, oh, Ballini, Ballini. I was like on the poolside in the water, just trying to keep my head out and my body down. Now I had all sorts of other problems in competition with all these nice men. And so he approached me and he said like, oh, what's your name? He's like, oh, my name is Davide. Oh, nice to meet you, And he's like, my name is Ballini. Oh, that's great. And he says like, oh, you are like everybody else. So I asked him, say like, do you live here? And he says like, live here? Here we are all the guests of the master of king, the main host that was cooking the lamb the previous night. And so, he is the man. In effect, he was the granddaddy of the whole procedure. I said like, yes, I'm here because I know him very well, but I know the daughter very well. Oh, yes, he's like, oh, I told them right away that the guy Jim Mary was an asshole, and that the marriage was over. I'm glad she's with you. The girl started giggling. I said like, no. It's like, yeah, don't worry. It's like, it doesn't matter if it's true or if it's not, but if it's not, you should go for it. Oh, but it's like this man, it's like he's putting me to shame in every single department. Then he pushed back and he went back and he started swimming again with the girls sort of like in the water next to him. Oh my God, now I have to sort of escape this like Greek-Roman orgiastic sort of event. But I was there, then my friend arrived, and I hope she doesn't mind me saying, should she find this video, that she wasn't as young or as attractive as the other three girls. But let me tell you, nobody could somehow compete with these three girls. And so there he was. So she arrived, then we left, then we went to the beach, we took the car. I said like, oh, do you mind driving? So I got into the car, and finally we were dressed up. I could put a hat on, and I felt more relaxed. We went down to town. We have to buy some food, some wine, and then take it back to the house, put it in the fridge, and then we went to the beach. It was like quite an incredible experience, because then the previous night, the night when I arrived, and also the following night, you had all sort of people, and this Ballini character, he showed up with just one girl, not the other one. So, like nobody asked. I said like, I said like, look, I said like, what's, like, is Ballini It's like, do you have a name? Is that a surname? No, Sasema no. Call me Balini. What do you mean call me Balini? It's like, don't you have a first name? Yes, but to promote my art, I ban everybody from calling me with my name. That is Giles. Everybody has to call me Balini, because that's how I am selling my art, and that's how I like to pay for my bills. And that's where the host, that could be quite caustic, he says like, mind you, Mr. Balini, you have been promised me painting from my hometown, from my own house, big house that he had, like as a form of payment for staying here, and I still haven't seen anything. And then he was quick at reply. But, my dear Master of Key, it's also fair to say that every time some sort of illustrious guest joins the party, you kick me in the little room that is underneath the pool. Not even a window. It's like, what do you expect? You want my art? Come to my studio. That is where I spend the night. And you will see some unfinished canvas. And then you can choose. And then I was fascinated. This guy was a painter, like my great-grandfather. But the character, you see these people, I don't know if you have met this character. I met few of them. And like, they are not only what we in Italian, we have a wonderful Napolitan expression that is sciupa femine. The French have another incredible expression that is tomber de femme. It means that it captured the girls the way that flowers attract the bees. They are the biggest flowers at all. And so I know of many characters that had that sort of charismatic personality. Picasso had that charismatic personality. Women would throw at his feet. Dali had the same charismatic personality. Charlie Chaplin, he had that charismatic personality. And they were like womanizing. Einstein as well, he had students that would throw at him. And, famous Nobel Prize winner Richard Feynman himself, he was a womanizer. All the women. And if you see this character, particularly Richard Feynman, that is not famous for everybody, you see how good looking and apparently his university class, were just the best in terms of engagement. So you have the personality, you have the look, and it says like, okay, you want to throw yourself at my feet? I'm not a Puritan. I'm not saying like, no. Welcome to my world. A world of unpaid luxury debauchery. I don't know. I always wanted to be able to pay my bills. I always have to bring gifts. I don't feel like I should be in a place where like I'm not there and I don't have something to contribute. I take people out for lunch or for dinner. It's like that's what I do. It's like it's not him. He would get everything for free, and he had the guts to tell the big host, who also had a strong personality, but he wasn't exactly attracted to the young girls the way that our Balini was, And it was like extraordinary figure, but he was more like of a dark figure. He wasn't the type of solar figure. So the ghost, in a sense, was like a semi-god, a god that is mortal. And I was in fact shocked when I learned that he did die, because I saw to myself, a character like him, larger than life, they should never die. They should live until their 120s. Then they can go. But this Balini instead, he would get everything for free. And he would say, I don't have any money. All I have is my genius. Do you want my genius? Because it's very much in demand. And it's true. Apparently, he was invited everywhere, all over Europe, all over America, all over South America. Big millionaires wouldn't mind to have him. And the funny things, I got to ask him, and I say look, it's like, do you travel like what's your relationship with these three girls? He says girls? What girls? And I ask why they're not here tonight. Oh, they have to go in town, they go clubbing, I don't go clubbing. I say as soon as he said this sentence, I jumped in. I say I don't go clubbing too. He says no, hold on. I don't go clubbing before 3 a.m. After all, there was Mykonos in the summer and the beautiful warm. So, what happened? He says I always travel alone. But what about the girls? Girls? Which girls? The girls everywhere. I don't go to them. They come to me. This concept of attraction, I saw that it was extraordinary. And the elegance, the physique, and also the masculinity that he was exuding, with great confidence. He was fascinating to me. I have come to a reality, I was coming from a reality where the peak of class and sophistication was to have a 3-piece suit. You were all buried inside, and you could only see a bare piece of skin, and there you could only see the skin. How refreshing. So I had this most incredible 5-6 days, and there were new people coming. Some people would leave, new people would come, all ages, all interesting people. There were also a couple of young immigrants, incredibly good looking, that they got to stay there. I was moved to another little bungalow, another little accommodation, a separate one. And once I said but my God, it's one night, what I really like to do is to spend the night outside. And the guest is that's the most incredible ideas, because I got a couple coming, and so you can actually sleep on the roof. You got little steps, we put down a little mattress, and you can look at the stars. And I did, and it was unbelievable. You had these steps from the back going down, and everything was open space. So you will go to, there were just 2 mega fridges filled with everything, and you were fresh fruit, fresh juice, you got all the tools to do all your juice. There was wine, there was beer, there was liquor, there was ice, anything you can possibly imagine. You had all the tools. There were not 1 but 2 separate manuals on how to do cocktails, and so I learned the fascination. And then one morning I went out with him, and he said come, because you have good eyes. Not really. And so we ventured outside the villa, and even if there was nobody there, outside the property, to wander around naked, barefoot, it was quite hilarious. And we were looking for some wild herb that he wanted to put in his signature cocktail. And so eventually we got it, in some rocks hidden there. He said like, oh, break it, smell it, crush it under, your lips on the inside, and then chew it and tell me what you think. All different sensation. And so for everything that I told him, oh, this is zesty, this is lemony, this is a bit chilly, this he would give me another 20 detailed flavors. And I could say like, my God, you are right, they are there in my palate. And so on that night he created like this gigantic carafe of his signature cocktail. So we were there, then we went all together. We would go down to the clubs with 3 vehicles, one in front of the other. And there were like 12, 15, 16, 18 of us, all in these 3 cars, including the Jeep with the front glass folded in front. It was quite a scene. And he was the one in front, driving the car, sporting an immaculate white shirt and some, necklaces, and he always had a bracelet. He was like incredible. It was like a modern Caesar celebrating his triumph. But in the last vehicle, on the back, also a roofless vehicle, a cabriolet, there was Balini with all these girls all on him. And so when you get down to the old town, you have to go through these narrow roads, and there are people walking, and everybody knew who they were, and they were already laughing, the whole atmosphere. I said like, my God, this is what like Dante would put you in so many different areas of hell or inferno. If you saw from their point of view, it was like Dante Alighieri, bring it on, give us the eternity of this debauchery. That's fantastic. Now, one day, Balini have learned that I like to swim in the pool early in the morning, and I never been a night person. So one morning he arrived by himself, and he says like, oh, how are you? And Balini was very confused. He was speaking a mix of French, Italian, and Spanish. And so, of course, I knew all 3 languages to different degrees. Spanish, of course, Italian, French. My French used to be very good, and English. But the fact that he was mincing the words and coming there like, oh, sono biento, and then he says like, come, I have a gift for you. You are a very nice guy. He said like, what gift? Come with me. So I couldn't refuse. All naked, we went under the pool. I said like, now 8 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning. What is gonna happen here? And he took me to his studio, and let me tell you, the whole setup was like extraordinary. At the center of this large room, we basically just a big opening with no door. There was like a mattress and some other little mat. There were like 2 girls there sleeping, drunk, that were not any of the 2 girls that I met in the previous days. These were new. And on the walls, sitting down, finished and unfinished, he had all sort of canvas. And I say like, wow, it's like, wow, you really are an artist. I mean, like, you have the artistic personality, but you really are an artist. And he looked at me and he said like, why do you think girls are attracted to me? It's not the money, it's not the good look. In fact, he used something very specific about what do you think they are attracted to, you know? And he says like, they are attracted by my genius. And so today I have a gift for you. I said like, okay. It's like, where is this conversation going now? Remember, all completely naked, with the two girls sleeping at the center of the room. I said like, yes. He said like, I have a gift for you. And my gift is the opportunity for you to buy one of my small paintings, because I'm broke and I need money. And you know, the master of keys, you know, he doesn't want to pay me from my art, and I need to buy the colors. Yes, I need to buy new brushes, I need to buy new canvas, I have new ideas all the time. But you know, genius needs to be stimulated. I can't live here in a cave without spending. And so, choose what you want. And I said like, wow, it's like, that's very interesting, but it's like, I don't know really, I don't have much money with me. Oh, do you have a debit card? You know, tonight we can go to the city, an old town, and when nobody sees it, you can withdraw the cash. So like, okay, but it's like, I don't even know what's your price range. And he says like, don't worry, you tell me which one you like, and I tell you what the price is, and I guarantee you the price will be right for you. So as I went, I picked up this. This is an original Bellini from this incredible character, and I had no money to pay. She's like, oh, but mon ami, of course I trust you, take it with you, take it with you. And I tell you what, I'm gonna do something else for you. I said like, okay, that's interesting, but that's only after you pay me. So I went downtown, and he said to me like, but please, you know, por favor, you know, s'il vous plaît, don't tell anything. Don't tell that you bought something from me. Because people, as soon as I know that I have money, they think that I owe them money. So I have to go and spend the money in places where I don't own them, otherwise they want to be paid back first. So I did. I went, I gave him the money, you know. Immediately that very night, he came with me in this alley, you know, I have to show Davide something, you know, he used to call me Davide. So he said like, I have to show Davide something, you know. Instead, he took me to not one, not two, but 3 different ATM, because 2 of them, they were already empty. And that's Mykonos, people pay with cash. So eventually we arrived to the 3rd one, and I could tell he was concerned that either I didn't have the money or that all the ATM had been exhausted of the cash. That is not unusual in those little islands. So eventually I was able to withdraw the money, and as the machine was doing ta 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 ta, they say like, take your card first. They want to make sure they don't forget your card inside. So I took the card first, and I heard the machine ta 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 ta. So I look at waiting for the money to come, and in between my hands a new hand came up. There was the hand of Balini, who grabbed all the cash at once, and he took it and put it away. I couldn't even give it to him. And now I say like, oh, forget about the painting. I left it there in his studio, room, everything was happening there. Let's say the expression of genius was happening there, day and night, with all different girls, but only girls, and only the most beautiful girls. So the following morning in the pool, he says like, come. And when I arrived, my painting wasn't there anymore. He says like, oh, I told you I have a gift for you. I say like, oh, now he's gonna say, I'm gonna do a bigger one for you, and I'm gonna send it to you in Italy, or I think I was already living in London back then. But in reality, the painting was there. And on the back, he wrote, Mykonos, 95, pour Davide, Balini child. And so this is the story. And it's signed by him, dated 1993. And that's when I was there in Mykonos. And I remember the whole experience. I couldn't say goodbye to him, because when I was ready to leave, I felt like I have to say goodbye to Balini. Balini is gone. Nobody knows. He disappears for days and days, and then he comes back. Oh, and the funny things, he had made me promise to say that this was a gift for me because he really liked me. So when the Master of Keys saw me coming back with this, he said, Tessa Balini, he gave you something. I said like, yes, he did, And he says like, it's a gift, because he said he really liked me. He looked at me, he came very, very close, both naked in the sun, and he says, that Balini doesn't do anything for free. So tell me, how much did you pay? He says like, I paid this amount of euro. It's like, now of course I understand. But let me tell you, that man is a bastard. He says like, no, he's such a nice man. No, he is a nice man, but he's a bastard because he gave you a very, very good price. And I'm happy you got something out of him, because I'm still trying to get my own painting. 1 year later, I was invited to his big house in Italy. And on the dining room, he had this incredible painting of a pyramid of fruit with all extraordinary background. Sign, Balini, for Mu cher ami, with the name of the Master of Key. And I say like, my God, you finally got it. He's yes, he says like, I got it. But you know what he did, that bastard? What did he do? He says like, he asked me to take a nice picture of me. He was very apologetic for all the time that I have to wait. So at the end, I also had to pay some money because he needed it. And he said like, you either pay me from my heart or you pay me because I need the money. And so I did. But then he treated me. He said, in this beautiful house, I want you to take a picture with you and the painting in the background in this extraordinary Venetian room in a palazzo. So he did. Back in the days you have to print the photograph. He sent the photograph, and then he received a letter from Balini a couple of months later. And he says like, oh, I can't thank you enough, because thanks to that photograph, I was able to sell 3 identical painting of the one you have to much, much richer patron. So you should be happy that yours might not be a single one anymore. It's part of a series, but you paid a very good price. And on that price, you only pay half of it, because the other half you pay with the poor accommodation in your villa in Mykonos under the pool. And this is my story. How the impertinent collector went to Mykonos, not to party, but to grow. My Balini!